Underdogs. It's Stacy from Underdog Wellness, and today I'm with you with a yoga chair video. This was a request that I got several months ago that I'm finally fulfilling. We moved from Thailand and there's a pandemic and you know the drill, so things got pushed by the wayside, but we're here today doing a yoga chair video. So I have a yoga mat and I have a chair. We are gonna, at the very end, get down on the floor and lay down, but there will be not many poses in that lying position. Most of this is going to be done in the chair, and there are a couple of standing postures. So hopefully you've got a nice wooden chair or something that's very stable. You could be on a sofa or a comfortable chair, nothing that spins or rocks, but you want it to be as stable as possible. So we're gonna start here. We wanna just sit in the chair. We're not leaning against it. We wanna be able to sit up nice and tall. We've got our feet on the floor, knees directly over ankles, so we've got everything sort of lined up. We can put our hands on our thighs. Let's take a moment to roll our shoulders back and feel the chest open. Take a nice big breath. In the nose, out the nose, or in the nose, out the mouth, whatever is comfortable for you. Do try to use the nose. Try to breathe. But as I always say, if you have any kind of a cold or allergies, it's okay to breathe through your mouth. Just make sure you're breathing. Now, a lot of times we sit in a chair and the first thing we do is roll the shoulders forward and just kind of hang. We don't want that. We want to feel the chest lift. We want to try to lift and lengthen our spine as much as we can. We want to feel the crown of the head reaching for the ceiling, and see if then you can sort of roll the shoulders back. It doesn't have to be a tight roll back, although if you feel like your chest is tight and you want to really give those shoulder blades a squeeze just to stretch that out, that can feel really, really good. But don't exaggerate it when you're just sitting and breathing. So we're still taking that stretch, but now let's just sort of let the shoulders relax. Let them just fall down the way they want to fall. We're not trying to push them or manipulate them or put them in any weird position. And let's just take a few more breaths. Now take a second and notice how your pelvis is. Some of us have a tendency for the pelvis to tilt backwards. See if you're able to sit up tall so your pelvis isn't tilted backwards or forwards. You're right on the pelvic bones, the sits bones, and you're able to sit nice and tall. Belly is soft. It's not hopefully falling forward, but you're not trying to suck it in really tight or anything. You're just trying to use your muscles to hold yourself up tall, but then let them relax. From here, we are going to go forward. So we want to hinge right from the hip. So where you've got your hip joint right now, where you've got this bend, we're just going to lean forward. You can put your hands on your thighs or the chair and just come forward. Almost like they used to say, put your head between your knees if you ever felt like you're getting dizzy or you were going to be sick. I like to let my arms hang. I like to let everything hang, but if that's not comfortable for you, don't do it. Breathing deep here. One more nice big breath, letting the head hang. So when you roll up, if you've got your arms dangling, you can keep them there, or if you would like to then move your hands to your thighs and start to push yourself up one vertebra at a time, you can. Letting the head be the last thing that comes up. Hopefully you feel nice and tall there. Let's drop the chin into the chest. Noticing what's going on with the neck. Let it hang. Notice any tension or pulling on the back of the neck. Let's bring the chin up, just lengthening out through the jaw, through the neck, and right back down. And then the next time the chin comes down, let's keep it there, but let's bring it up and over to one side, and down and up and over to the other side. Just moving the neck. If the shoulders tend to come with you, that's okay. Just be aware that it's happening. And then let's slowly from center come back up nice and tall. Good. Let's bring our ear to our shoulder. Just feel what we feel there. You could, if you wanted to, kind of let this arm hang or sort of reach it on a slight diagonal towards the floor. Gives you a little bit more length. If you're really tight through there, you'll probably definitely feel that. And as always, I like to take this hand, just let it touch, let it be a little weight, not pulling or yanking in any way. We could bring our chin down and up and back and forth. And then we'll come back to center. Just take a moment, let your hands rest, and just notice if you feel a difference side to side. Let's take our ear to our shoulder this way. Notice as you do that, if this shoulder is trying to rise, see if you can keep it down. But don't stress out about it. If it rises, it rises. Just be aware that it happened. Let's give ourselves a little length through this hand. Breathing deeply there, feeling the sensations. Bringing our hand up, and again, it's just weight. It's not yanking or pulling. And bring the chin down and up and down and up. Just a little movement. And come on up. And again, just take that moment and just notice if you feel any difference. If one side feels higher than the other, just kind of comparing side to side. Sometimes with your eyes closed, it's easier to compare. Nice. Let's bring our shoulders up to our ears and just little circles, little shoulder rolls. The only thing moving here are the shoulders. Maybe the neck moves a teeny tiny bit, but that's it. And you can make these as big as you want to. Let's reverse direction. If you find when you do this that your elbows or anything is hitting the back of the chair and it kind of constricts your range of motion, just scooch forward in your chair a little bit more. And then kind of, and you can even let your arms hang and just notice that weight. Very nice. All right. So from here, I'm going to come forward just a little bit. So if you haven't already done that, let's do that. And then we want to readjust our legs so that, again, we end up with our ankles directly underneath our knees. Good. We're going to take our left arm, bring it around. You're going to clasp both hands behind, but then you're going to continue clasped hands around to the side. So we're starting to stretch this left elbow. Your hands are just hanging out on the side. Maybe they don't come this far around. It's totally fine. Notice if your shoulder's trying to pop up. See if you can keep it down and let it draw back. Let's go the other way. So hands are directly behind you. Swing them to the left. And same thing. And release. All right. Still in this position, we're going to take it to a rotation. So our right hand is just going to touch the chair behind us. It can hold on to the back of the chair, whatever it can get a hold of. And then we're going to rotate. We're going to bring our hand around. So this hip right here, you don't want it to travel with you. You want to really keep it anchored. So we're going to try and bring ourselves around and just rotate from the rib cage around, around, around. Let your head be the last thing to travel, but we're trying to keep our pelvis from going anywhere. And then we'll slowly come back to center. Again, take that moment to breathe right in the center, and we'll do the same thing on the other side, starting with the left arm. We go behind, right arm comes around, grabbing hold of the chair, could be our leg, whatever. And let's just rotate nice and slow. The rib cage, it travels. Finally, the head. And come back to center. Little cat-cow. So we can stay where we are. I like to scooch forward just a little bit more. And again, reposition those feet. Let's inhale, lift. We're just gonna lift the chest up, arching the back a little bit, keeping space in the front and the back of the neck. It's just a lift. And then exhale, we're gonna round that. Pull the belly back, round the spine. And again, inhale, lift, arching the back. And exhale, rounding. Inhale, lift. And exhale. One more time. Inhale, lift. Feel the pectorals, the chest open. And exhale, round it. We can even bring our hands forward and clasp them, stretch those hands out, feel the stretch in the back. If we want to move a little rocking side to side, we can. And we come back to center, okay? From here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move, I'm gonna move the chair, you don't have to, but I want you to be able to see what we're gonna do next. So with your chair in front, you're gonna step a little bit away. We're gonna do a downward dog. So we want some distance between our feet. We wanna feel like our feet are directly, our ankles are directly below our hip bones. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna hinge forward, so just kind of come forward and let your hands touch your chair. And then let them walk, and let them walk, and let them walk. And you should be getting a nice stretch through the back of your leg. So this is our downward dog. Stretching it out. You can let your head drop. You can keep it in line with your ears. Try not to push your hips back behind your heels. So if anything, you would actually walk your hands further forward so we get a little more stretch in the back of the legs. Spread your fingers wide. Keep them nice and long. Hug the elbows towards each other. And feel that stretch. And then we'll lift the head up. We're going to slowly shift our weight. So we're going to bring our hands back towards the edge of the chair. We can even bring them to the side, whatever feels best for you, okay? If this doesn't feel good as we start to go into it, just do that downward dog again and stretch, okay? But if we're able to, we're going to bring a foot back and a foot back, and then we want to shift our weight so that our shoulders are directly over our wrists. We're not hanging. Notice how my body hasn't collapsed. I'm still using my abdominals to lift up. But again, if your wrists or your arms or shoulders or anything bothers you in this, just go back to that downward dog, okay? All right, let's do that downward dog again. So we're going to step in. So find that position, make sure our feet are about hip distance apart, and then you can scooch and walk those hands forward and forward and forward. And again, we don't want our hips back here, so if that means I have to step back just a little bit and focus on my hands going forward, that's what I want to do. Breathe deeply here. And we'll walk the hands back, bend your knees, and just come on up. Very nice. All right, from here we're going to do a couple of standing postures. We want to go into Warrior Two. So from the center of the mat, we're going to take one leg to the side. And that foot's going to go right underneath your chair. If it's a chair that, you can't do that, obviously step out a little bit more. And we're going to try and step back. And if you need to use your chair to do that, you can. You don't have to go very wide. So from this position, this foot right here, This left foot, the toes are gonna either face forward or slightly in. Don't let them point outward, okay? These toes, right foot, go to that wall over there, okay? So we kind of, our feet kind of look like that or even like that, okay? But they're not penguin feet, okay? We wanna bend this knee. Going into our warrior two. If you find that your knee is getting a little too close to your chair and you need to scoot your chair a little bit, you can, or you just don't have to go very far. It's pretty much whatever feels good to you. Let's bend both knees and just kind of do a little bit of up and down here. If that's too much for you, you don't have to do the movement, or you can hold on to your chair. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and straighten this leg. Notice how my body has shifted this way, so I'm gonna try and bring it back so that I've got my pelvis, my rib cage, my head, all stacked on top of each other. Arms are gonna come out. There's our warrior two. See if we can bend a little deeper into our knee. Let the knee touch the chair. If that doesn't feel good, come on out of that. Let's release. We're gonna come up. We're gonna bring our toes forward. So now the toes face forward or even slightly in. You can go wider if you'd like to. Hands are on the hips. And we're gonna bend the knees. Good. Now let's go ahead and point the toes out. And we'll bend. We can go deeper this way. And you can put your hands on your thighs. You can kind of move around a little bit. You don't have to go very low. Maybe you're up here still. That's totally fine. You can kind of move those shoulders. Wiggle around. I'm losing my voice. And kind of play from here. All right, let's come on up. Let's go back to those first toes. So toes are forward or even slightly in. And we're gonna hinge forward from the hip. So at this point, you can bring your hands to the floor, or maybe not. Maybe you have blocks, or maybe your sofa is here, or your coffee table, or whatever. That's always a choice as well. Again, trying not to push our hips backward. Let's see if we can come a little bit forward with our hands. We want our shoulder to be directly over the wrist. We don't want to lock the arms. We want to keep them a little loose. And then we're going to bend our knees as we come up. Maybe our hands are on our hips and we come up. And then we're just going to turn the left foot. So again, toes are going to face that wall. These toes face forward or slightly in. Let's go ahead and bend our knees and just wiggle a little bit. Check in with the knees, check in with the thighs, ankles, see where things are. All right, so we're gonna straighten this leg. Let's come a little deeper into this one. If we choose to, if it's bothering our knee, we can stay nice and high, just a slight bend to that knee, that's totally fine. Arms are gonna come out. Wiggle those fingers, stay nice and loose and relaxed. Shoulders are back, and again, we've got our head over rib cage, over pelvis. I don't know if you can hear all the work that's going on outside my house. They chopped down some trees, and now we're grinding the stumps. Let's come on up. We're gonna bring our toes forward. Good. Let's reach nice and tall. And release. Good. Now, you might be able to just kind of bend your knees and hop your feet together. But if that doesn't work for your body, let's just rotate our feet again. We can reach for the chair and we can push off and step forward. So a little forward fold here. We've got, again, our hips over our ankles. This could be our forward fold here, where we just let our hands touch wrists directly below shoulders. Or maybe we want to come down to our elbows into a little bit more of a forward fold. So no, not that downward dog, it's a little bit more of a fold. Getting that stretch through the back of the legs. maybe we're okay there and we want to even come lower. Or maybe we're too close to the chair and we want to back up a little bit and come on down, let our hands touch the floor. So it's really whatever works for you. Just make sure you're aware of where that chair is. You don't want to hit your head. And we're going to walk ourselves back up, bend the knees, and roll yourself to stand. We're going to sit down on our chair again. Okay. So I think I'm going to do this one sideways, so not facing you, but we'll be sideways. Hopefully you can see. So we don't want to sit all the way back into the chair. We're kind of in the center or towards the edge. This is going to be a seated pigeon. So we're going to have our feet again, ankle directly below the knee. Let's cross our left ankle, or our left ankle onto our right knee. So we're crossing that. If that doesn't happen, if maybe your foot has to slide a little bit, that's okay. But we're going to do our best to try and just let that cross. If our knee is way up here, that's totally fine. The idea is to get that knee to come down, but don't force it or push it. We don't want to punish our hips if they're a little tight. It's okay. Once we've got that, whatever it looks like, we're going to sit as tall as we can. You might be feeling the sensation of the stretch right in that hip joint. If you're feeling it, it feels good, you'd like a little bit more, you could always just touch. It's not a heavy pressure, it's just a touch. And then you're going to inhale and sit tall so that everything is lifted and open. We want to keep this left foot flexed to keep our knee protected. And we want to just kind of bring our energy forward. So I know I'm looking at you, you might be looking at me, but just sort of bring your energy forward. Bring your chest forward, whatever's over there, whatever you're looking at. And all we're going to do is breathe. Now we can stay here, we can come out of this, or if we want to, we can start to lean forward. And as you start to lean forward, you don't want the body to twist in either direction. It might have a tendency to go towards that knee. See if you can keep your right hip anchored and you lean forward, and you'll start to feel more intensity in that left hip. We can take our hands down, we can take our hands to prayer, and come on down here. Listen to your body. More isn't always better. More is sometimes just more. Sometimes more is an injury waiting to happen. The more you practice this, the more that hip will open up. Let's roll ourselves up nice and tall. Let's take a little back bend. And we're going to release that foot to the ground. As always, let's take our moment. Just come back to neutral. Feel if you feel a difference between the hips. Other side. Right ankle is going to cross over. The two sides may not match. You might have an easy side and a harder side. Try to keep the foot nice and flexed so it's at that angle. And this knee, it is where it is. If it's high, if it's low, doesn't matter. Let's inhale, come up nice and tall, shoulders back. Not ridiculously back, it's just a nice lifted, proud chest. Breathing here. See if you can keep your chin nice and tall, parallel to the floor, so we don't have that text neck. And then if we want, we always have that option of pressing just slightly onto that knee, just a little extra opening. And then we can move into it. So as we move into it, I don't want you to round the shoulders and come down as quickly as you can. Keep that lift and then hinge from the hip. Bring your chest forward out here. That's going to give you much more of a stretch in that right hip if you choose. You don't have to do that. But it also keeps the chest open. It keeps that stretching out. We always, every day on our phones, on our computers, driving, tend to let this overstretch and the chest muscles get tight. So we're trying to do our best to counterbalance that when we do our yoga practice. So we're we're staying lifted and proud. And come on up. Good. Let's go ahead and cross the left leg over. So now this is a full crossover. We're doing our eagle legs, but we're doing it in a seated position. So this is plenty right here. If you're able to, you're gonna take this foot and you're gonna see if you can wind it around so that we get that full eagle leg. But if that doesn't work for you, it hurts your hips, anything going on there, don't do it, don't worry about it. We'll sit ourselves up nice and tall. And then we're gonna take our right arm and the left arm is gonna wrap around it. So here's our eagle posture. Bring the arms up higher. Let the hands move away from the face. There's our eagle. I have to tell you, when I do it this way, I rock in the legs. When I'm standing, I tend to not get the whole bind, and that's okay. Or if I do get the bind, I quickly fall over. Let's release that, and release, and come back. And you know the drill. We're gonna take a moment to breathe in that neutral position. Noticing how our shoulders and our legs feel. Let's go to the other side. So this time, right leg is gonna wrap around. So we cross it first. Then if we're able to, we get the toes to wrap around. One side is usually easier than the other. I can tell you this is my easier side. Just staying here and holding that, feeling the length through the torso. And then we're gonna take that left arm. Right arm is gonna come under, around, and again, you can be back of the hands, you could be hands touching, you could be clasping, gripping, whatever. Don't grip too hard. Lift the elbows up a little higher. Send the hands away from the face, and those are your eagle arms. And release. Uncross those legs. Let's send the legs out in front of us. So you want to kind of scooch to the very edge of your chair. We'll send the legs out nice and straight for our staff pose. So your legs are straight, but the feet are flexed. See how they're drawing back towards you? Nice engagement in the quadriceps here. Sit up nice and tall. Got our proud chest again. And if we want to, we can shift forward just slightly. Don't fall off your chair. Make sure you're still on there pretty good. We can even reach back and hold. Again, that chest is lifted. Feet are flexed. Legs are engaged. Stretching out the calves and the hamstrings. And we'll come back up and we'll walk one leg back and the other leg back. This is where we're going to take it down to the mat. So I'm going to remove the chair. Maybe you have somewhere you can lay. We'll take a second or so to figure that out. Okay, and then we're going to lay down all the way. So once we're down here, don't worry that you've got to get back up. You don't, okay? So we're here. One leg at a time, we're going to pull into our chest. In fact, let's let this leg lengthen out. And then we'll bring that leg in. We'll release the other one. Let it touch the ground if it can. And you can do things like wiggle toes and rotate ankles. And then we'll pull both knees in. We can clasp our elbows or clasp the wrists, whatever, and just kind of hold that there. Again, wiggle the toes, rotate your ankles. We can gently rock side to side here. Just sort of elbow to elbow. This should feel nice on your spine. If you're not on carpeting, maybe it doesn't feel so good and you want to stop. But if you're on carpeting or even a bed, you should be comfortable. And we'll come back to center. Happy baby. Similar to this, you can stay here if you want to, or we can take it a little further. Legs are going to come up. You can grab your calves, ankles. You can grab feet on the outside. I like to grab them on the inside, and some people even like to make peace fingers and wrap them around your big toe. So whatever is your favorite. I like the inside of my arch. From there, I like to widen my legs a little bit and then kind of reset them so that my thigh is not running into my rib cage. I've got plenty of room for, I can pull down and my knees don't get stuck, nothing gets stuck on my rib cage. And I just relax here. So close your eyes and feel your entire spine melt into the ground. That should be back of the head, back of the neck. That might not touch the ground because there's a curve there, but feeling the upper back, middle back, lower back, all of that melts into the ground. And again, we can rock ourselves gently side to side. Depending, I have a wall here. You might have a coffee table or a couch, but just however far you're able to go. And then we're going to hug those knees in again, breathe. And we're going to place one foot at a time back onto the mat. Keeping our feet pretty separated, so they're not touching. We can bring our arms out to a T as best we can, and we're going to windshield wiper those knees. So they're going to go to one side. Wherever they fall, they fall. It does not matter. Go to the other side. And if it feels good when you get as far as you can go and you want to hold that stretch, by all means. Letting the spine rotate. And come back to center. From here, we're going to take our final relaxation, our Shavasana. So we let our legs come all the way down onto our mat. Our arms can stay in a T. We can bring them overhead. We can let our hands rest on our belly. Whatever you like to do with your arms, whatever is your favorite position. Take that time, close your eyes, and really feel where you are in space. Trying to lengthen the body as much as possible. Try to become as heavy as you can. Breathing deeply. Allowing the muscles to settle down. And taking one more big breath, or two or three, however many breaths you'd like. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Just your fingers and your toes, nothing else. Just make the movements as big as you can. And then rotate the wrists and the ankles. And then we'll we'll turn the head gently to one side, as far as it will go. Inhale, bring it back to center, and as you exhale, continue turning it the other way. And let's do that one more time. So we're going back to that first side. And again, coming back to the second side. And then slowly bring your head back to center so you're neutral. And let's bring one arm over our head and the other arm over. Stretch through those fingers and then add your legs. Let yourself start to lengthen those legs, stretching through fingers and toes. Great big breath there. Exhale, let yourself melt into that. Start to bend the knees and place the feet on the mat. And we're just going to kind of use our lower body to twist to one side. We'll do the same thing with our upper body. I like to bend my elbow and give myself a little bit of a pillow. We're going to stay here for a breath or two or three. And then when we're ready, we can use our arms to start to press ourselves up. Take your time. And then from there, we can sit in any position that's comfortable for us. Maybe at this point, we'd like to get back up off the floor and get into a chair. Totally fine. And let's just take a moment to check in. Close your eyes and just feel the neck, the shoulders, the legs, the back. Notice how we're feeling. I hope you enjoyed the class, and if you have any other requests, don't be afraid to send me a message and I will try to make that video for you. It seems COVID is not going away anytime soon, so we'll get used to making some videos. I'm not moving again anytime soon, so still waiting for furniture, but happy to do it for you. So just let me know what you'd like to see and we will work on making those videos. I'm aiming for once a week. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Namaste. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.